Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness.
This is episode 68.
We hope our territorial acknowledgement improves allyship with Indigenous people within a reconciliation process. We're on the Haldeman Tract, located on the traditional territories of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge the presence and traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land.
We're here with Let's Be Well Together podcast. I'm Elise Seifert, and I'm here with John Webster. Hey, John.
How you doing? And we're up in Owen Sound where Elise lives. We're on the road doing recordings.
That's right. So, John, what's on your mind today?
Back to more articles. You know, I love the articles. Mm-hmm. Whenever I see one online, I just kind of save it and pop it in the back and then pull it up later. So today, now let me give you a bit of context. I remember hearing about this a while ago and it was just so interesting to me. There's a lot of science and this kind of shows the way people think, right? Like we're really smart, we're going to figure something out.
Of course.
So scientists start thinking, okay, well, here's how nutrients work. Here's how muscles work. Here's how the body works. Here's how we start to fall apart as we get older. So how can we make things work better through chemicals and exercise and all that stuff? And then at a certain point, someone said, you know what? Why don't we do something different? Why don't we go look around the world and see if we can find places where people live for a long time, live healthy lives, right, and see what they share in common.
Great idea.
And so this article is called Live Longer with the Dishes from Blue Zones in America. And it's by Sandee LaMotte, CNN. And it was January 29th, 2023. And when I told you about this, you told me something about Blue Zones, how it got the names.
That's right. So Blue Zones started with the people who were doing the research behind it. They had their map out. And when they would find an area in the world where people lived for a very long time, they would mark it with a blue dot. So that's why they became known as Blue Zones.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, when I read about this years back, I had come across other things that they share in common. So,
okay.
So if you're really interested, do more internet research about Blue Zones, read about it, find books, however you want to do it. What we're talking about today is one article pointing out some of the issues, but I just found them really fascinating.
Definitely.
It says, for example, in a few unique communities around the globe, people live long and healthy lives, up to and past 100 years old, and they're dubbed Blue Zones. And the residents of these areas share a common environment and lifestyle that scientists believe contribute to their longevity. So, for example, some of them who live in blue zones, they tend to have these common characteristics. They walk, they garden, and bike as part of their everyday life. They're close to their friends and family. They have a purpose in life, handle stress well, and are often members of a social or religious group, and they eat plant-based diet and stop eating before they're full. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that jumped out at you in the article, Elise?
So something I found interesting was that they emphasized that it's not just about diet and exercise, but it's also about social groups and religious groups. So that social well-being, I thought that was really interesting because often when you think about living a healthy lifestyle, you focus solely on that physical and eating aspect of being healthy. So I think that's an important point that this article makes, that it's much more than just what you eat and the activities that you do.
You know, I record things in advance, and I just recorded some running pop-ups recently, and one of them is about why we call this Let's Be Well Together.
Right.
And I really do believe that our best chance at wellness is together as part of social groups and friends and family. So that's a great point. It might also be why it helps them handle stress better.
I think I would have to agree with that. I think being around other people is very helpful for me to manage stress.
I can't remember if this article mentioned it, but the other one I read, I do remember now it talked about they sleep well. And I bet you that's related to that good social environment as well.
I think so too. And I know when I spend time doing physical activity like walking or cycling or spending time outside, I typically tend to sleep better. So I would have to agree that spending time outside doing physical activity helps to enhance sleep, and sleep helps with your health. I did find it fascinating to hear more about the diets that they had. So understanding that a lot of the foods that they eat are plant-based and learning that a lot of these places, they don't eat meat very often.
That was a bit of a surprise to me. I mean, the human race wouldn't be here if we didn't eat meat.
No.
That we needed that as part of our process, our evolutionary process. But it does show more and more that what I read, what I hear about is less meat is the better option if you want to be healthy and live long.
Definitely. And this article really emphasized the importance of beans. They talked about how it was such a great kind of food for you to eat.
Now, I'm trying to remember. We, a while back, went to a feast for the senses at the KW Art Gallery, which is a really cool event that we've talked about. One of the chefs made something called a Three Sister Soup.
Okay.
And they talked about traditional indigenous plants, which are beans, squash, and corn. Mm-hmm. And the kind of cool things about it include that they actually grow together very well. Mm-hmm. So you actually plant them in the same garden in a certain way. Okay. And they foster each other's growth. But then I heard at another time, those three same vegetables used somewhere else. Like I can't remember if it was Mexico or somewhere in South America.
Amazing.
And I can't help but think when I hear those things that something must be right about it.
It must be, yes.
If really nature-loving indigenous communities from different places in the world have these traditional foods and they always include beans, there's got to be something to it.
Yeah, they're doing something right. I always find it so amazing to hear about how different parts of the world can kind of discover the same either foods or the same materials to build and create. I think that's incredible. And that must be one of those.
Okay, so I'm just going to look at the article and hone in on some of the points that we just talked about. So it says the Blue Zone eating pattern is 98% plant-based food, whole food-based and high carbohydrate, but only complex carbs, not the simple carbs like salty snacks and candy bars and soda pop. And what they talk about is this day and age, you hear about keto diets and everything else, and a lot of people are just off carbohydrates altogether, which is not a good thing. You should maybe read up on complex carbohydrates. And they are in things like beans and peas and vegetables, whole grains. And they provide vitamins, minerals, and fiber that can go missing in processed and refined foods. And they're digested more slowly, and the fiber helps you feel full longer. Mm-hmm. I'm not very judgy, and I'm not very bossy. So if somebody tells me they're on a keto diet, I don't say anything.
Right.
Because to me, it's more important that they're finding something that's helping them get somewhere that they want to get. But in the back of my mind, I do hope when people eventually get to the spot they like to be at, they're going to read more about nutrition and start to see that you need whole foods, you need complex carbohydrates. And it worries me when I hear people cutting out things like fruits and certain vegetables from their diet because I worry that they don't get nutrients.
Agreed. Yes.
Anyway, I think it's really cool. And I also remember we went down to Mexico quite a few times. Mm-hmm. And I love the traditional Mexican food and things like refried beans and stuff.
I know what we think is actually Mexican food is really Tex-Mex food. So it's a little different than what we would typically eat in a traditional Mexican setting.
Yeah, very more simple type foods and with stuff like cumin.
Delicious.
Not so much like the hot spicy stuff. There's obviously, they have lots of peppers that makes it spicy, but it's not quite the same as a Tex-Mex. And then the other thing I would just want to point out about the article and food, it points out that it's kind of like the Mediterranean diet,
right?
Which I always see as a really good thing. Sheila and I tend to have a Mediterranean type diet, except that we probably eat a lot more meat than they do in the Mediterranean.
Right. And the Mediterranean diet includes a lot of fish.
Exactly. And what this says is the people in the blue zones, they don't eat as much of the fish.
Oh, right.
It's only small amounts. And meat, though, is only eaten maybe once a week. So it says 5 times a month. So very little meat and less fish than the Mediterranean. Also, there's no cow's milk in the blue zone. Mm-hmm. They tend to use goat milk and sheep milk. Cheese such as feta and, I don't even know what this is.
Pecorino? Pecorino cheese, I believe. Yeah. That was something that jumped out at me because spending time in South Korea, I would often look at the way that people ate and a big difference between how we eat in North America and how they ate or I ate in South Korea. And I noticed that they did not use as much cow's milk in South Korea. And I wondered how much of an impact it had on their diet and their overall health. So that was something I found that was a big difference between the two places.
I think for me, I mean, we drink a lot of milk here. I like milk. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I don't want to talk too much about cutting milk all the way out, but maybe limiting it is a good idea. But what I'm taking from this is I should probably try and eat less meat.
Yeah.
And eat a little less fish. That's not hard for us because Sheila doesn't like fish.
Yes.
So maybe I've got to find a way to eat a little bit less meat if I want to try and replicate what people in the blue zones do.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great idea.
Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds.
We are back to one of my favorite categories, physical wellness. And we are back with one of my favorite guests, Hillary Fitzgerald. And she helps inspire us to make or to keep making physical health as a key ingredient in a balanced life. Hello again, Hillary.
Hello, nice to be here.
So Hillary, as you guys know, she's a lover of life, a promoter of positivity, and a motivator of movement. She started her own fitness journey in high school, and she eventually enrolled in CanFit Pro and became a personal trainer and fitness coach. After working out of gyms, she set up her house as a business and trains out of her home gym, and she loves doing that with her team. Today, Hillary, what I want to talk about is goal setting. You were telling me that goal setting is a big part for a lot of people about physicality and fitness training. And I'm wondering, for example, if we could start by asking you what you see as some of the benefits of setting goals.
Yes. So I find most people come to me with some goal in mind. They want to start working out for various reasons. Maybe it's just to feel better about themselves overall. It could be a weight loss goal. It could be they want to run a 5K, so they want to get stronger for that. There's so many different...
Anybody getting married?
That's a big one.
Is it?
So I went through, oh my gosh, actually not for a while, but I went through a few years there where everyone was getting married. So that was the main goal.
I just mentioned that because my son's weddings, by the time this airs, it'll have happened.
Oh, that's exciting. So does your son?
No, he's not into that, but it occurred to me that I can imagine people wanting to do that.
That's a big one. So it was, a few years ago, and I still have these clients that I have seen through, when they got engaged. Well, they came to me maybe after they got engaged. They have some goals in mind. They got married. Then a little while later, some of the women had their first kid and saw them through that, their second. So there's been goals all over the place, starting with weddings. So yeah, that's a big one. So no matter what your goal is, I believe there is a benefit to setting a goal. So it can be small scale. You can also have a bigger picture in mind. But I think it is motivating when you set a goal, and keeps you on track to obviously the main goal of reaching it.
For me, the goal that I often set in quotes is, I just did this actually. I signed up for a run. So in this case, I signed up for the Ottawa Army Run. It's an amazing event. And I signed up for a really cool event, which is called the Commander's Challenge, where you do a 5K and then you go to the start line of the half marathon and you run a half marathon.
Oh my God.
Now you can do a 5K, a 10K, you can do a half marathon, you can do combinations. But it's a really cool event. But most importantly, in terms of goal setting, I'm like, okay, I know myself. Having done that, I know that 12 weeks out or 16 weeks out, I'll start training for that in a much more disciplined way than my approach to running and weightlifting right now.
That's right. So, and what made you set that goal?
I just knew that I needed something. I haven't been doing a very good job getting back into this stuff without that goal. So I just wanted to change things up, set a goal, and hope to see the benefits of it.
I'm glad you said that, because that's many people's approach. I'm going to, pick a goal and I'm going to work backwards and see where I have to start in order to get to that goal. So for instance, that could be, I want to run 2K. So I'm going to start, maybe I've never run before. So that might be a big goal for me. So I'm going to start with baby steps, and maybe I'm going to walk that 2K, and then maybe I'm going to start running it, a minute run, walk 30 seconds. Whatever way, I'm going to set mini goals in order to hit my larger goal. That's how I look at goals myself. And when I'm working with people, I often think that's a great way to get to the end goal. But many benefits to setting a goal. I think it helps you be disciplined. It motivates you to see the end picture.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is, I think about different levels of things like discipline, but also accountability. I'll give you an example. When I first lost a lot of weight, I'd lost weight a couple times, but the first time I was very successful, I went and saw a nutritionist. Not only did they teach me about healthy eating and eating in moderation, which was amazing, I also had this accountability. I had to write down everything I ate, which is kind of a regular part of a lot of weight loss routines. And I had to meet with them every 2 weeks. And between having to write down everything I ate and having to show that to them every 2 weeks, I had a lot of accountability, and I stuck to the healthy eating program. And I definitely don't stick to it as well without the accountability. And I kind of see goal setting as self-accountability in a way. Now, obviously, you can work with someone else and you get that added level where you have to report to them and you're probably more disciplined. But just by entering myself into that race, I feel like I'm accountable to do a good job in that race and set myself up to succeed in that race. I'm not trying to do a super fast time. I just want to feel comfortable throughout it. So I think part of goal setting for me is it gives me accountability, which in turn imposes discipline on me.
Yes. And I think that's important. I think it's great to have something to work towards. It doesn't have to be something, it can be something intense, or it can be something smaller. It can be a mini challenge. I think it's great to have something to work towards, to motivate you, to be disciplined. I'm sure you've probably said to your wife, hey, I'm doing this, or to maybe your friends. I think saying it out loud really helps.
Well, by coincidence, I just bumped into somebody from my work, and they're thinking of just getting into running. And they said, I would like to do a half marathon at some point this summer. Do you have any? And I said, well, I did sign up for this one if you want. And then I poked around at speed, because it's really hard in these runs to run with people of much different speeds.
Right. I could see
so
that.
It turned out that this person is pretty much the same speed as me. And they've never run more than 15 kilometers. And this is 21.1. So I said, well, if you want, I can actually run that speed. If you want, I'll pace you. And I absolutely love pacing, right? So now if that person signs up for the race, that I'm going to have some accountability and really get myself ready, especially if they do ask me to pace them, because I won't want to let them down.
Well, that's right. And look, you just made a friend.
True.
So I feel like that's a benefit as well. I like the feeling of community as well so this run that you're going to do, you're doing it on your own, but you're also possibly going to pace that person. You're going to be with other people. It's going to be, and
just to interrupt, the Canada Army run, it has an amazing feeling of community. So among other things, it's supporting veterans. You're running with people who in some cases have physical injuries, included an amputation.
Wow.
And who will walk the race. A lot of the participants suffer from PTSD. And it's a way of not only running with a group of people to showing support, financially, but you're literally running side by side. Honestly, I teared up a couple times when I went last time, especially when I went through the row of pictures of people who made basically the ultimate sacrifice. It's an incredible community feeling.
Well, there you go. Like, that's why you're doing it. And in turn, you're going to conquer this goal of your own. So it's really so many things you're getting out of it. That's amazing.
And you mentioned as we were setting this up about setting yourself up for success. Yeah. And that's what I love about it too, because you set your goal. It doesn't have to be grandiose. And often I think it's good to set small goals, achieve those, prove to yourself you can achieve them, get that feeling of success, and then set the next to-do list item, your next goal, succeed there. Next thing you know, one success is building off the other, and you start to really believe in yourself.
Yep, exactly. And that leads to my next thought, of building confidence for yourself. I think that goes along with it as well, because, okay, you've now conquered this goal and maybe others. Wow, I feel pretty good about myself. Look what I've done. And it's for nobody else but yourself. Well, especially for me. Like anything I set, it's for myself. Over the years, made me a way more confident person. I think that's a huge benefit to goal setting. I look back at what I was like when I was younger. When we're teens or in high school, it's a tough time. I was the least confident person. I couldn't do anything. I think I was paralyzed by fear of everything. And I look back now and I think, oh my gosh, if I'd found what I know now a little earlier, maybe through sports, because I didn't play sports because I was too scared. I didn't want to mess up. If I was on a team, I thought, oh my gosh, I'll be the worst. And again, just coming back to no confidence. But I think, wow, if I got into that way earlier, I wonder how I would have felt. But anyways, I didn't. I got into things when I did, into fitness. And that I built, my confidence. And then I was able to through that, do so many things. And now we're here and setting whatever goal I want to set and working towards that.
What I really appreciate about that too is when I say setting yourself up for success, in my experience, so I'm talking about me, it's not that I run this marathon and I cross the finish line and I'm like, in your face, people,
yeah.
Look at me, right?
Yeah.
And usually it's not some like really highfalutin accomplishment where like I did this record or something. No, where I've succeeded is I gave myself, first of all, I like the fact of starting off with easy goals, getting used to succeeding in them, getting confidence, and then setting some tougher goals, and then actually accomplishing them and being able to say that was hard.
Yeah.
That was a hard thing to do, but I did it. And so that it sets me up for success and builds my confidence is when I now am in a rough situation and it feels hard and I feel like I can't keep going. And there's that little voice in your head saying, you can't do this. Now I know that there's another little voice in my head that said, you can do this.
That's right.
Just keep trying, just keep moving forward, and you can make this happen. And that's where I get my confidence now, that I won't be as easily defeated by that voice in my head that says you can't do it.
This is exactly, you said exactly what I say to myself during any situation. Being confident to me isn't being like, look what I can do. And wow, not at all. It's the exact same thing you're saying. And if I'm in a situation, I say to myself, look what you can do. You've done tough exercises, or you can push through anything. You can also do this, no matter the circumstance.
It doesn't even have to be like some major problem. I liked one of the times during one of our chats, you pointed out that you like doing the morning workout because you finish it and you tell your people, look what we just did. We just did something really hard today. So let's get through the rest of the day. And people leave feeling like they can deal with the small things they have to deal with that day and more confidence.
Exactly. It gives you confidence. It gives you resilience, just an outlook on the day. And we haven't even, touched on just the positive versus negative outlook on life that it gives you. I mean, that alone gives me reason enough to do everything I do. It makes me want to motivate others to do the same, because
to get that feeling that you get.
Yeah. Because why not look at the day being like, wow, what a great day. Like that's as opposed to many ways it could be looked at.
I lived much of my life, as I like to say, as a bit of an intellectual egghead, thinking that if you really want to achieve the right space, it has to be outside your body, beyond your body, or supersedes it, because that's where the good things happen in the intellect. And I've since learned, like, this is just another great example, as you get in touch with your physicality, as you move your body, as you push your muscles, which are designed to be pushed, that there's so many benefits, including this confidence that you can build in a way that you didn't expect.
Yeah, it's your confidence. It's a natural mood booster. It's everything. It's an antidepressant. There's so many benefits to movement, and it doesn't have to be something that you think, oh my gosh, I can't do this today. If you have a day where you had something planned, something big, okay, I'm gonna do this crazy workout, whatever that may look like to you. But today's not the day. Today I'm gonna go for a walk. I want to move my body. If the sun is shining, great.
I really like that you said that too. You mentioned that in the last interview as well. I forget how much the sun is amazing on a walk, that walking in the sun is just so energizing.
I would live outside if I could. I think we know there's so many benefits to being outside, especially when the sun's shining. So if the sun is shining, I'm doing whatever I can to get out there.
Right.
That is why I have a turf in my backyard to work out on. This is why even today, later on, I have a session. It's going to be outside. It's the first session of the year.
Oh, cool.
Outside.
Congrats.
Thanks. Yeah, because the sun, even, it's poking out here and there. Either way, even if it wasn't shining, there's so many benefits to being outside. And if you can move your body at the same time, I think you're crushing the benefits. And the same way with my kids, I'm like, oh, let's get outside. Even it doesn't have to be even a nice day. Like yesterday it was raining. I said, isn't it beautiful out here? It just rained. It was misty and gorgeous. I'm like, let's go outside.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we made it to the end of the interview, and today's when you get to break the record of the person who's answered this question the most times. We ask every guest the same question, recognizing that we have different areas of wellness in our life. It's our little mini wellness check-in. And the question is, are you currently neglecting an area of wellness in your life? And if so, can you think of even one thing that you can do to foster wellness in that area?
I think I could get in touch with my artistic side a little more.
I think that's really important to do, actually.
I think so too.
It's one of the areas, so like when I was writing my book before I did that, and I was trying to think of the areas of wellness that are important to me, art is huge. Music, visual arts. But I wasn't finding it when I was doing searches. I didn't find it very much. Now there's a whole bunch of articles appearing about connections between art and wellness. So I think it's a good thought you have.
I think it's very important. My husband and I really, with our kids, when they decide to do their extracurriculars, sports are great, of course, but we have always pushed the arts with them, and they've always kind of just naturally loved the arts as well. And my husband, he plays music every day. He either sits down at the piano or he picks up his guitar. I love that. I love that it's just so natural for him to do.
I wish I could do that.
Oh, me too. Like I don't play any instruments. And he'll just pick up whatever. And I don't even think he notices that he doesn't intentionally, well, I guess it's intentional, but it's so natural for him to do. And I'm always sitting there. My favorite thing is to sit there and just kind of listen to him play. Now I love to sing. So we often he'll play and I'll sing, but I feel like in the last just a few weeks, I guess, or a couple months, I haven't been singing as much as I normally do. And I don't know if that's because maybe we generally sing more in the spring and summer when we're outside. We sit on our deck. He plays the guitar. I sing.
Well, we can extend the interview a bit if you want to start singing.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm not prepared for that.
Okay.
Not that I wouldn't, I love singing.
I like singing too, but I wouldn't sing it on the podcast.
Not that I wouldn't, gosh, but I'm not an amazing singer by any means. I just really enjoy singing. I always have. It's something I did as a kid, and I was always in the choir. It's something him and I both really enjoy doing together, and with the kids too.
Okay, well, sometime we've got a long weekend coming up. We're recording this actually, even though it won't be played for a month or two.
Okay.
We're recording this just before the Easter weekend. Hopefully you get a chance to do some singing.
Well, I'm hoping so, because we're heading away for the weekend, and we're bringing the guitar, and we're near the beach, and we love to sit on the beach. And we have a song that we have been working on, but again, in the past few weeks, it's been a little busy, so I need to get back to it. So we'll see. Maybe I'll bust that out.
Good luck for that.
Thanks.
I'm Cameron, and welcome to another installment of The Adventures of the Starving Artist. Today, I just want to give you a quick glimpse into one of the areas of music that I really like working in, and that is remote studio recording. I love it because I can do it theoretically from just about anywhere, as long as I have an appropriate space in which to record, my laptop, and whatever instrument I happen to need. Sometimes that also requires my microphone, but that's not so bad. For this one, I didn't even need the microphone. I was asked to play some piano, and the instructions, well, let me backtrack. Usually, in a gig like this, I'll get a list of instructions that include very important things like the tempo of the song, the timestamps for where they want me to play if it's not over the whole song. I usually get the key, time signature, and other nitty-gritty stuff like sample rate, bit depth, all that stuff. That's like the recording software side. So for this particular one, I got almost none of that. The instructions were from 126 to 146, so those are timestamps, basically a 20-second window. Could you play something riffy and fun? And they wanted piano. That's all I got. I didn't even get a metronome. I didn't get a key. I didn't get any of that stuff. So a bit vague, but a nice challenge. Given that very vague instruction, this is what I came up with. So a couple things to note. No musical pun intended. I'm sure that you can hear at the end of that, the time changes. It speeds back up. Da 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 da. But right before that, it's a completely different time feel. It's da 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 da. Totally different. So I was thrown into this without any kind of heads up, and I thought I did okay. I think I checked the boxes of riffy and fun. But it turns out that's not at all what the client wanted. So today, they sent over some reference tracks, and yeah, I don't know why they asked for riffy and fun, because the reference tracks they sent were like, well, let's just say that's not how I would describe them. But I fired off a couple of tracks just now that are more in line with the references they sent. So we'll see if that checks the box for them and makes it into the track. That's it for me today. A quick glimpse into what it can be like doing the remote studio thing and the fun challenges that come with it. Thanks very much for listening. Have a wonderful week. This is The Starving Artist. Until next time.
We love our listeners and thanks for joining us. Please help spread the word about Let's Be Well Together podcast. Follow us and rate us on Spotify, Apple, Google, or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram at lets.be.well.together and let your friends know about us.
Move that body like we're meant to do.
When we were up in Collingwood recently, we decided to try to play tennis. So we went out and bought some tennis rackets and played tennis. And it was so much fun. And wow, a lot of exercise. Yeah, in a short amount of time, fast.
We have no idea what we're doing. We're not pros. We just tried to hit it back and forth to each other. Mm-hmm. I have played somewhat before, so I was pretty darn good.
Yeah, he was really good. Well, I mean, compared to me. And I was very happy with my performance because I have played once before and I had zero control over hitting the ball. So it never went where I wanted it to go or far enough or close enough. You know, like I think I'm hitting it light and it goes too far. And then I think I'm hitting it hard and it just never seemed to work. But I felt like I was improving while I was playing.
I thought you did great. And the funny thing for me was I was trying to like knock it to you nicely. Mm-hmm. But what I found was, and I was doing okay-ish, but what I found actually was on those times where you made me kind of run and I just had to kind of make a poke at it, like just do my best. That was when I was hitting it the best. Yeah. Because I was just kind of letting myself go.
And oddly enough, you had to do a lot of that.
Yes, I did.
You had to keep running after it. But I would like to also say that I decided that I'd like to play ping pong because I thought that playing ping pong would help me with my tennis. And it wasn't tennis weather yet. And I knew I wanted to play tennis. So I was playing ping pong and wow, I really was enjoying that too. Although it's different. I realized that it wasn't helping my tennis game, but I really loved playing ping pong too.
The thing that I wanted to talk about for Move That Body about this is we're brand new to both these things. We're no good at it.
No.
We're not pros.
No.
Someday we'll have somebody on here to talk about tennis who actually knows what they're talking about, or maybe someone about ping pong. But the great thing is, like, it's just an example of just go move your body, try stuff you've never tried before.
And you're using different muscles, right? Your wrists and your arms, and you're still running, and your hand-eye coordination. It's just it's so awesome.
It's fun. It lightens you up. Mm-hmm. I did notice the next day, though, there were little muscles here and there that I'm like, oh, it was something. I must have used muscles I hadn't used before.
Yeah, when you were playing tennis?
Yeah.
Yes, I realized that too. That it's definitely my shoulders. I was feeling it a lot more, like my shoulders and my elbow. I was really using my arms. So, yeah, but it was great.
I don't know that I'd want to actually play tennis competitively, whether you or anyone else. One of the reasons is I worry about injuries because I've been really lucky to avoid injuries running. But when I'm running and when you're doing it properly, everything's kind of going in a straight line. Everything's square. Yeah. If you're playing tennis, you're going to zip off to the side and you stop fast or you twist and you. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little worried that I'm going to get injured, but not so much if we're just out there having fun, knocking it back and forth.
Yeah, that's what I think too. As long as you're not playing competitively, you're not trying to win. We're not even playing for points. We're just lobbing the ball back and forth.
Trying to keep the rally going as long as possible.
Exactly. I think the chance of injury are lower
But it's just so much fun to get out there and move.
Move that body, try new things, have some fun.
Yeah.
Not only will it make you feel better, like uplift you, but you'll get that little bit of exercise in.
There's a thought. Popped up while running.
Thank you, Gym Guy, today. I was doing a longer run, and I usually do, it's pretty easy for a while, and then it starts to get a little harder the last, quarter, third. Nothing terrible, but just I know it's going to get harder. So it's always nice if there's something that happens that lightens it up, something that a bit energizing. And today it was Gym Guy, who I don't know. So thank you, Gym Guy, who I don't know. Running on a treadmill, getting to kind of that time where I'm like, oh, sure, it would be nice to have me a little pickup. And the guy beside me was amazing. He was doing this kind of strange walk run thing. I think he was just warming up to go upstairs to lift some weights. So it wasn't really necessary for him to run at any particular speed. So he had the treadmill going at a good kind of pace, but he started almost dancing. So like you do step, move. And he was really getting into it. I don't know what was on his headphones, but his hands were moving. He had facial expressions and he was really good, right? He was really moving to whatever that music was. And I just started smiling and I was so entertained and it was energizing. I mean, you could just feel the energy coming off of this guy. And I had a great end of my last run and I barely even noticed that it was that time that I was usually struggling. So thank you, Mr. I don't know who you are, Gym Guy. It's me. Am I?
Yeah. Just let me say, flip side of the coin.
I was just talking to Sheila about some pictures I saw from when we were first going out, before we got married. And that reminded her of something to do with the wedding. In this day and age, we don't really have the photo booth. Right?
No, we don't.
When Sheila and I first started going out, I can't remember. Yeah, I guess I can remember the years, like the mid 80s.
Just a while ago, yeah.
Mid 80s.
Okay.
And for a certain time forward, they used to always have photo booths, and these things would be in a mall or in a store, and you'd put in your 50 cents or whatever, and you knew you had to get ready because it was going to go click, 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 4 pictures, right?
Yes.
And so there's lots of times when you would do that and you say, okay, what are the funny faces we're going to make?
Yeah, we have to prep it first, and you got to, and
smile, a kiss,
a
funny face, and something, right? And we have not a ton of them left, but we have 2 or 3 of these, and they're great pictures.
They are great pictures.
And now we skip forward, and the problem back then is they just didn't have a lot of easy access cameras. So it was a really cool thing to be able to sit in a photo booth and have something in your hand like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, so cool.
So skip forward. Life is amazing now. Everyone can have a gazillion pictures on their phone. You can picture anything, but you don't get the photo booth picture.
You don't get that shock or you just missed it or prepping for these, whatever story you're telling. Do you remember the one time you did the I love you?
Right.
You had those cards.
I had 4 cards, so I had to flip them up all at the right time.
And you had a little heart. Yeah, like things like that. I don't know. They're just so instantaneous and flash of the moment that we can't get now because we take 500 pictures and pick one of them, or you alter them, or it's just not the same.
I wonder if there probably is like a photo booth app where you like put your phone down and it kind of replicates that experience. Or like
I wonder.
Flash. But it's really fun. It would be good to do.
But you still change it. You can still change them. On your phone, you can still adjust it. But anyway,
just stop there for a second, because I think you're right. These pictures that I love that I'm talking about, I think if we had a choice, I would have swapped out some of those pictures for better ones. But I actually like what we have.
Yeah.
And they're not perfect.
No, it's a time.
Yeah. Sometimes there's good things that come from bad technology. But you were saying something about the wedding.
So we are actually at the wedding getting a photo booth. A lot of weddings have that where they have, you take these pictures, but we're actually getting the original kind of photo booth look where they print out those little 4 pictures. Yes, we wanted to do that. Get the old school.
Will it be like 4 poses, or will it be that kind of experience of flash?
Flash. Cool. It'll be the experience of flash, and it coming out immediately. Now you can also get it sent to your phone, the pictures, right? So you have it, but you have the hard copy of the...
Neat.
Yeah, so we have that with props, I guess, or whatever, but... We wanted to do the original one because you can get all these different ones where you just get it sent to your phone immediately or, however, but we wanted to do the old fashioned
Maybe we
ones.
can get a few people that give us theirs and we can post them on a social media post or something.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they actually do that. Like when the person gets it done, they get the hard copy, but I think there's a hard drive that has all of them on it. so we can get those printed if we want.
The other thing I love about the old pictures, even though they're black and white too, for the most part, they were black and white.
That's true. They were.
booths.
Yeah.
It really brings things to life. Like I really feel like they're full of life.
Yeah.
So
they are.
I liked seeing that photo, and
even just being in that little box, like, because you're in this little black box. Like, I mean, a lot of people probably that are listening have no idea what we're talking about, right? There's this little. It's almost like a phone booth, which maybe you don't even know what that is, but there's a little box that you're in. So trying to fit 2 people or 4 people in there, you're squished, right? And then you can see the window of where the picture is going to be. So you got to squish yourself in there, and then you can see these light flashing. It's just quite an experience.
Yeah, one of them that I looked at was when Jeremy and Elise were little. So it's me and you, Jeremy and Elise. I could just imagine us all trying to like line ourselves up in 4 different poses.
Yeah, it's
Good
so
times.
funny.
Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way.
And it's sign-off time. It's Sheila here with Elise and John.
Hello.
Hey!
I had a great week this week because I'm back to my regular schedule, which is working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that gives me time to get housework done and get some gardening done and everything else. So that's really nice. We had a lovely weekend up at the condo, and the weather is just so wonderful. Nice during the day, sunny, and then nice and cool at night to sleep. So it's been wonderful here in Southern Ontario. I would like to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. And that's it for me. What about you, Elise?
Oh, well, I have been enjoying the weather immensely. It's been so great. I busted out my bike.
Nice.
So that's pretty exciting, and did some gardening, which is great. I think I'm finally over this 3-week cold I've had. It's just been ridiculous. So this week, my goal is to get back into my fitness routine because I've just really been focusing on resting and feeling better. So I'm hoping to get back into my fitness routine and maybe bike to work a couple times this week.
Perfect.
How about you, John? What are you up to this week?
Well, I'd also like to wish moms happy Mother's Day, including my own mom and Sheila. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had a great day today. Today was the day I did the Sporting Life 10K run that includes fundraising for a Campfire Circle. And it was really cool because I've got an issue recently where I think I've got some kind of lung thing going on. So I got to see the doctor. It's not serious, but it just feels like I always have a teeny bit of coughs. It affects my running a bit. Today, so I was going out going, I hope it goes all right. And for some reason, it just started to feel better and better because I ended up doing some fundraising. I put that kind of pitch out last week on Sign Off. And one of our listeners, Colin, came in and he put in just enough that put me over the edge that I got a note saying that you've now made enough in sponsoring that'll pay for one child for a whole day to be at camp. And so I'm running along and I just started thinking about that. And when I hit 8K, I had a little wind behind me and I'm like, that feels amazing. And I took off and I ran a faster K than I have in a while. And then a pretty fast last K too. Felt great. So I'm really upbeat today. It felt good to help, and it felt good to have people helping me help.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's it for me. Does anyone else have anything else?
That's it for me. I'm really hoping to get back to the gym for myself. And I had a wonderful day. I did 50 laps in the pool today. So that was really nice. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I am 50. 50
laps.
Yep.
That is unbelievable.
Yep. And it was great. So I'm going to get out there and keep working and staying in shape. I hope
that's inspiring.
All of you are too.
I hope our listeners are inspired. I hope they have a great week.
Okay.
And we hope to see everyone again next week.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.